Alright folks, how are we doing? It's Shabash, welcome back to the channel. It's Orna again, finally back here with a build guide. It's an endgame realm shifter ranger build. Actually, this is going to be probably my first AoE build guide actually. And we've got an awesome spot here thanks to one of the original Orna legends, Sergio, absolute legend. Got a double Valley of the Gods. So we're going to try and get our brand new Arisen Fae Bad Catha Godforged. And yeah, I'm just going to run you through the build, taking a look at the gear first. Essentially, I'm going with a mix of status immunity and, ward, just to keep us alive. So basically, Old Northern Crown. Got the Asker garb there. It's got a bit of, it's got Saturnize and some Crimson Pinion. So it does give us 300 attack, which is actually not insignificant. Bit of ward, and we'll see if we can get the temp attack or the temp all up now and then. Pretty unlikely, but then going for some high stats with the Fey Raven boots, poly boots, any kind of ward boots, searcher boots, hell boots will work here. Then yeah, the stats immunity, the Atlas for stun immunity, and then Briny for toxic, blight, and poison, and Ring of Anwin for all the basic ones there. And then of course it's Valley of the Gods, so we are trying to get things Godforged, so I'm trying to Godforge my weapon. Looking at the skills, so yeah, we're going to need Divine Bastion 2 because we are going to go into redlining, into Resurgence range. A lot of our extra damage will come there. Arrowstorm 2 is going to be our main trash clearing skill. It comes from the Ranger spec tier 7. Then we've got our buffs: Warcry, Bear's Might, Gunner, Barrier 2, Golem's Fortitude. We're not Swasher, we are going to build our stats up, so you kind of want all of them. Then I've got Blood Shift, just to get in case we need to get our health down low faster. I've got a Swordplay 3, which is basically our kind of nuking skill. That's gonna be our hardest hitting skill while not critting, so it basically keeps us at 1 HP. Purifying Strikes is actually a nice little skill for getting down physical immune enemies, mainly the Arisen Great Gazer at tier 10. Also keeps ward turns up and does pretty decent damage. Ultimate Strike 3, just in case we need to heal for whatever reason. So this is kind of specifically for Valley of the Gods. If I was doing Battlegrounds, Purifying Strikes, you can definitely use this for Battlegrounds. Just the Purifying Strikes is immune to Meliodas, doesn't do any damage. So this is what we're going with right now. Let's dive in straight away. And of course, we're using the Chimera Pet, Fake Chimera Pet, in this instance. So I don't have anybody to party with right now, unfortunately. So I'm just going to do Horde mode, and we'll see what we can do. So yeah, basically first up, if you get any berserks kind of floor 1 during Horde mode, you definitely want to ward up. And if you're the party leader, if you are partying with other people, definitely do the same. Then we're going to use Golems and Barrier 2 just to kind of increase our defenses immediately. Before we go into Divine Bastion, and that is going to just get us up to 100% ward absorption. Now, if you are trying this yourself, bear in mind my Ascension level for Realm Shifter is quite high. It's over, I think it's 25 right now, so I'm going to have a lot of additional stats: HP, mana, attack. By all means, if you're just starting out, if you can get to around 40-50k ward, you should be able to manage quite reasonably. I'm going to complete buffing here. So I go Bear's Might, and then immediately going to use Ambrosia or Panacea to remove those defense downs. Quite important. And yeah, that Lizard Lord is probably worth just taking out at this moment in time, to be honest with you. It's the Berserks who really do serious damage. Ronins are, again, not very pleasant as well. They are really high dex, they do hit hard, and we'll build up some ward turns here with Ortonite, sort of replenish our ward at the same time, while also depleting our health with that berserk buff from the Chimera. So you definitely want to kind of get into low resurgence range on floor 1, build up your ward turns as well. Hopefully your pet will take out a few mobs while you're doing this, always super helpful. The foresight buff, debuff doesn't really, I'm not super worried about that. I actually don't have any foresight gear on. Foresight gear can help you to, do your turns ahead of berserk mobs. Typically, if they're berserk, they're gonna be going first. And Valley of the Gods, generally you can kind of withstand. It's that turn 1. If you get zerked out at turn 1, it can blow your run apart, and it's quite unpleasant. But yeah, it's gonna happen. That's why if you do this in a party, it can help, spread the damage. So I'm gonna use Gunner here. We are gonna get taken, we're gonna be taking heavy damage from magical attacks, obviously, but we should be able to withstand them, no problem. And yeah, mixing some mana potions as we go. And I'm not using crit this time round. If you were, you can use Worm Song to up your crit. But I think we're pretty much good to go. So Purifying Strikes on the Great Gazer, and fortunately our Chimera finishes off the rest of the mobs. And Purifying Strikes is quite nice. It does replenish our ward a little bit as well. And what you can do here actually, which is an extremely good option for Realm Shifters, is using Berserk Mushrooms. I've got plenty here, so helps you drop your health quicker, gives you a bit of extra stats all round, really good defense stats, and then we're good to go. So when you want to replenish your wards, on those enemies which are left standing, Purifying Strike is great for that. It just keeps your ward turns up, replenishes a little bit of ward, and yeah, we're just going to go ham with Arrowstorm. We actually got the proc from our Askir gear, which is super nice. And when you have like one enemy remaining, that's like the best time to use potions, mana potions. Just saves time as well, so you don't go through every single mob's turn. Okay, so really any Zerk mob in Valley of the Gods can pose a threat. If your Arrowstorm is not taking out, a lot of these trash enemies, you may want to focus on the Zerk enemy first up. Also, actually got to watch for these slurs as well. We've got Cursed, so if I was to Arrowstorm here and miss one of them, I would die. So you got a Panacea here, and the mushroom and the Berserk one going to help us out. And of course, the issue with when you Panacea, your health is going to jump super high. You're not going to have increased stats anymore. So you do have to watch out. Some of the most annoying enemies, Valley of the Gods. Yeah, again, most Berserk mobs, but specifically the Great Gazers actually have very high stats, so they may zero you out. The Lost Pharaohs, the Arisen Lost Pharaohs with the Petrify are super annoying. Also, the Arisen Carmines with they have the Gargoyle pet, they can petrify you. So I'll see if I can find get a floor with a Zerk. Zerk Camazot's not really too much of an issue. Yeah, Arisen Hydras, since they're nerfed, they're not too bad, to be honest. Even if they're Zerks, yes, they are quite tanky, have quite a lot of HP. Just got to keep your eye open, and we're kind of running through this quite smoothly, actually. One really nice strategy is in your weapon you can stick in some Bestialize, increase your pet's attack rate, As you've seen, there's been a couple of floors where our fake Chimera has finished off the last enemy, which is, yeah, super nice and saves time. And we're just going to let Arrowstorm do the work here. I believe Mammon is immune to holy damage, so can't use our purifying strikes. A lot of these trash mobs as well gives you quite nice materials. Hardened steel, wolf's blood, pretty rare drops. Okay, this is quite a nice run. We haven't really come across too many Zerk enemies. The Ronins, yeah, they can get quite difficult actually when they are Zerked up. Extremely high dexterity. Zerk Undead Golem, Zerk Fafnir, not really difficult enemies, to be honest with you. Okay, Zerk Tiamat can do damage. Gonna heal our mana here. So we're getting to the point we are, you know, below 20,000 ward. You want to think about replenishing your ward actually. So you can take an opportunity like this, where you've got one pretty high health enemy with other trash. You can use Arrowstorm, and you're probably not going to take down everybody, and just like that. And now's a good time to kind of replenish ward. Now the drawback of using Bestialize and higher pet rate is if you want to use Divine Bastion, good chance you're not going to get it off actually. The pet could well finish it off, but we managed to get it, and our pet finished off just in time. When you are Divine Bastioning, make sure it's not an Arisen Slower. You don't want to get cursed while you're Divine Bastioning, that's for sure. And I think everything else, there's not going to be any too difficult procs. I'm not sure if there's anything in here that can bleed you. You can cast Coup de Grace. So yeah, Slewers definitely do not cast Divine Bastion. But that's going to end the first valley. We didn't get any Gold Forges, unfortunately. Really nice matte materials at the end of Valley of the Gods, always. Bunch of quests done, so let's rock through the second valley. Another Horde mode. You never want to do Valley of the Gods hard mode, really. So yeah, the advantage of using the Foresight gear, like normally you only really need one piece of Foresight gear. You know, typically, if this was certain mobs, they do have Foresight, higher Foresight when they're Zerk. But again, we go Ward of Ortonite first up, get our defenses up, Golden Fortitude Barrier 2. And what you can do here as well is you can kill a few of these mobs just to speed up the turn time. We'll see what our Arrowstorm, if we can kill those, the Orc Lord and the Minotaur. Okay, we'll need another turn. Yeah, it saves 2 turns there. Then we go Warcry, Bear's Might. And okay, this was actually not such a good idea, using Bear's Might here. Nevertheless, we lose ward turns, make sure you get them back. And we can use a shroom straight away. Yeah, using Berserk Mushrooms, especially if you're doing these solo Horde mode, for me it's definitely a good time to use these Berserk Mushrooms. Especially if Naganin is the event raid on, you can stock up quite easily at tier 10. So we get our Divine Bastion off, and let's stick in another Arrowstorm. Okay, just trying to leave a couple of mobs so you can speed through the turns. Okay, we've got Zerk Arisen Hydra, so let's see what kind of damage it's going to do. I think since the nerf, it's really not too dangerous. A lot of its skills are low penetration skills, so we don't need to worry too much about them. Tri-cuts, quad cuts, you know. So if you have any kind of stat defense, generally should be okay. Multi-tremor. So of course, any kind of you know, if you have Old Northern Crown, pretty much any quality. If you have Fey Raven Piece, just 1 or 2. Searcher gear, you know, the usual stuff. Even poly gear to an extent. You're really going to be fine. Make sure you have a decent amount of wards, really. That's all you really need to ensure. And you see, this Hydra is not damaging. Not damaged us. It's not damaged us at all. So we're going to finish buffing. I'm going to use Gunner. If you do feel like you want to take it a little bit safer, you can drop the Gunner, because you will take, you will start taking damage from all kind of mage enemies. Maybe it's a risk you do not want to take. You're going to have to find that out for yourself. Your current build, what kind of gear you have, if you can withstand the mage attacks. It will of course slow you down slightly. More Zerk enemies. So these are all high health enemies, so Arrowstorm we're going to have to use a couple of times here. Finish off with the Purifying Strikes. Again, keeps our ward turns up, replenishes a little bit of ward, and you really honestly need the status immunities here. The Ring of Anwin, the Briny Pendant, super important. There's no point really using Orn gear or experience gear in Valley of the Gods. It's really about the God Forging. You know, the base Orn rates for most of the mobs in here is not significantly high anyway, and we do just want to make sure we can actually complete the runs. And you know, if you get rot or burn, you know, it's not going to be pleasant at all. So this is quite a difficult floor. 2 Zerks, a mixture of magical attacks. We can finish off the Zerk. The Zerk's almost always going to be the biggest threat, so you want to finish them off first, as quick as possible. Again, especially if you're doing these solo and you don't have party mates to spread the incoming damage around, you're gonna be taking all the hits. So, gotta be aware. You know, things like the Tiamat, the Typhon as well, they tend to use multi-turn skills quite regularly, so you can kind of take advantage of that. Attack them last, or you know, after other threats. Final mob on this floor, we can use Mana Potion. Finish off with Purifying Strikes. Low health trash mobs, always good. Arrowstorm should be able to finish most of them off. This thing is immune to Holy, didn't quite realize that. Okay, Zerk Mammon. Generally not too bad, because he tends to use attack skills. The other fallen gods, when they are Zerk, they can be quite quite potent actually, because especially the Vulcan likes to use mage spells, actually magic spells. So if you have Gunner up, can do quite significant damage. I generally just recommend not having an element on your weapon going through Valley of the Gods. There's only really the Great Gazer who is immune to physical. You know, I haven't tried the other factions, but if you want to put Earth affinity on your element, on your weapon, it's doable, but of course you're going to run into the Demeters, and you know, it's a bit frustrating getting the immunity on these floors. A couple of the other elements not as good as earthen in PvE content. Of course, earth would be nice against the great gazers, or any element can be good against them. But yeah, this is why I really like the Fey Chimera pet as well. You know, it actually does pretty decent damage, and the multi-hit skills it uses tends to finish off quite a lot of enemies. So increased action rate, you know, a few bestialize, actually really good option in your weapon if you're doing these, if you're doing a bunch of valleys or any other kind of theme dungeon content. Just always watch for the sluas with the curse. If you're not using an arisen shield or fallen shield, definitely have to watch out for them. Okay, one enemy, going to use mana potion. That's perfect timing, and our pet finishes it off even more perfect. Okay, we got a bunch of Ithras. You know, for example here, if you're Frozen Guard and you had water element on your weapon, you've got three enemies here which are going to be immune to your Arrowstorm, which is just, yeah, significantly unpleasant. I mean, you could carry Elementless or an extra skill in your skill slots, and arguably you could have an extra space for it. Blood Shift I've not used. Been using the mushroom mainly to lower our health quickly. Osmo Strike, again, not really used that. So, you know, there is potential there to swap those skills out. And, you know, a final word there, I would say sort of the top 8 skills here, as well as Swordplay and Purifying Strikes, those are your bankers. And the rest there you can swap out, try other things. And we can actually use Swordplay free just to finish this off. No Goldforge, unfortunately. Never seem to get Goldforge when I'm making videos, but there we go. That's a couple of Valley of the God runs. Solo Realm Shifter Ranger. Hope this was useful. I'm going to post like a written guide on this. I'll post the skills and the gear and, you know, additional options for you in the Orna Legends website. So you know, there's certainly options there. Yeah, just bear in mind again, let's have a look at my stats here, just so you get an idea of what we're working with, what you can work towards. You know, HP mana, you know, mana, you know, 1400 definitely not necessary. Ascension does help with your HP and mana. You know, if you can get your mana to roughly above 800, 1000, it just makes it a little bit more smoother. You don't need to mana potion so often. Ward, again, if you can get above 40k, definitely recommend trying to get above 40k. 30k, 25k, you know, it is doable, but you're gonna definitely rip a few runs. You know, you're gonna be unlucky. You're gonna have a couple of Zerks, you know, 4-1, 4-2, do significant damage. You know, if you have the lower wards, it's probably when you might consider not using Gate of Gunner. Will slow your runs down, but they will be safer. Attack, 5,500. That's definitely quite high. It's my weapon is super nice, but you know, I've been trying to go towards Bident, which is, you know, pretty standard entry level tier 10 weapon, and the runs were, you know, very similar to what we've just done. You can get, you know, 4,500, pretty decent. You know, 4,000 definitely going to be fine. You can get up to kind of 4,500, 5,000. It's just going to make your runs quicker. But you know, for the trash enemies, you're still going to be flying through. And then defensively, obviously, I have some Fey Raven gear, so my resistance and, well, because I'm using Gunner, resistance is kind of completely useless anyway. But defense, again, pretty high. Got a decent all nothing crown. The Asker gear, you know, 1,000 defense. My favorite Raven boots an extra 2,000 defense. You know, this is really quite high. Make it quite safe. Definitely don't need 6.5k defense. You know, 4.5, 5k. Bear in mind that you're gonna have resurgence when you're redlining, gonna bump these stats really high. And if you use a mushroom, again, that's 25% extra. Multiply that, you know, when you're at 1 HP, that's basically doubling these stats. Golem's Fortitude, Barrier 2, really quite smooth going. And again, I didn't use crit at all on this run. Really probably wouldn't recommend it, to be honest with you, for Horde mode, for the themed dungeons, especially when you're soloing. You know, Arrowstorm 2, it doesn't crit at all. When you crit, you're going to be taken out of resurgence range, not really helpful. So kind of just ignored crit, to be honest, for these runs. But yeah, really hope that you found this useful. Again, I'll post links in the description below for this guide. I'll you know, put some extra options on there. Big thank you to the original Orna Legends for keeping the Orna Legends ecosystem up and running. The Discord, you know, the website, everything, all of that. So your support really appreciated on Twitch, on Patreon. And yeah, hope this video was useful. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see, you know, more tier 10 party dungeon, theme dungeon build guides. Will be more kind of lower tier stuff coming soon as well. And yeah, this is going to be going out during the holiday period, so hope all you and yours are doing well, and wish you the best during this festive period. I'm Shabash, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Ciao.